Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to another interesting session of the Astro Club. Today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, that is Barycenter. So let's learn everything about Barycenter. So we know that Sun is a star. Okay, am I right? All of us know that Sun is a star.
Yes, Akka. Yes, Akka.
Yeah. And we also know that all the planets orbit the Sun. Am I right? Like, let me explain it.
Rotate means
Yeah, see, this is a Sun, and all the planets, they orbit the Sun. Okay, here, for example, there may be Mercury, or here there may be Venus, Mars, Jupiter, like that. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. So all the planets orbit the Sun. So we know that Sun is a star and all the planets orbit the Sun. And we can say that planets orbit stars. So in our galaxy, I mean in the Milky Way galaxy, we have Sun as a star. So all the planets orbit the Sun. But in other galaxies, there may be other stars, different stars. And the planets orbit that star. So generally, what do we say? We say that planets orbit the stars. See, here there is Sun and all the planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. So all of these planets are orbiting the Sun. So we say that planets orbit the stars, but that's not the whole truth. But that's not exactly correct. The statement is not exactly correct. So planets and stars actually orbit around their common center of mass. So it's not that they just orbit the stars. We cannot say simply that planets orbit the stars. The correct statement is like planets and stars, they actually orbit around their common center of mass. So this common center of mass is called Barycenter. It is called as Barycenter. Now, let me show you one thing, then you'll be able to understand. See, for example, are you able to see this one?
yes, Akka.
Yes, Akka.
This, if you can observe carefully, see this plus sign in the middle, it is the center of mass of these two planets or what we stars or anything. So these planets, they orbit around the common center of mass. And now let's see another one. If you observe this, see, the plus sign in the middle is the common center of mass. So both the star as well as the planet, both of them are orbiting around this common center of mass. So this center of mass is called as Barycenter. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Akka.
In this figure also, in this elliptical orbit, there is a common center of mass. So both the star as well as the planet, they're orbiting around this common center of mass, which is called as Barycenter. So that's about Barycenter. Yeah.
Akka, 1 minute.
Okay. If anyone wants to note down the important points, you can.
Akka, your voice is not coming.
What?
If you are speaking anything, your voice is not coming. That is why I said.
Your voice is not clear, Suhani.
Akka, she's telling that your voice is not clear, it seems.
Are you talking? She is telling Akka.
For all of you, is it like that only? Are you able to hear me?
No, Akka, your voice is clear only.
Your voice is clear only, Akka.
Yeah, maybe there is some problem at your end. Once check.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's move on to the next.
Yes, Akka, completed.
Yeah, so now see. Barycenters also help astronomers to search for planets beyond the solar system. not only in our solar system. These barycenters help the astronomers to search for planets beyond the solar system. Okay, that is one of the important use of barycenter.
Okay.
Okay. So how can this barycenter help the astronomers? Now let's see. I'll give you an example.
Akka, one.
Yeah. So all the planets, they orbit around this barycenter. Am I right? We discussed earlier. They orbit around the common center of mass, which is
Yes,
the
Akka.
barycenter. So while they are orbiting, it seems as if they are wobbling. Wobbling means moving around that point only. See, for example, in this figure or in this you can see, while they are orbiting, it seems like they are wobbling. You know what is wobbling, right? Moving around the same position.
Yes, Akka.
Yeah. So it seems like as if they are wobbling. So in the distant galaxies, in the other solar systems also, if any object is seen wobbling, then the scientists can assume that it is a planet. Because planets orbit the stars around the common center of mass, that is the barycenter. And while orbiting, it seems as if they are wobbling. Okay, so in that way, barycenters help astronomers to search for planets beyond the solar system. Is it clear?
Yes, Akka.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now, before going to learn about barycenter and everything, first we should understand what is center of mass. So every object has a center of mass. It is the exact center of all the material an object is made of. For example, in this figure, you can see here, it's kind of slide. It's in the first picture, it's like something called a slide. So the center of the object or center of the material of which it is made of. In the pencil, this is in the second picture, you see the pencil. So the point in which this finger is situated, that is the center of mass of the pencil. Here you can see some eagle. So this is a toy. So the beak here, which this person is showing, it is the center of mass of this entire object.
Akka, what is meant by mass?
Mass means like the amount of material contained in that object.
Oh, okay, Akka.
The amount, how much material is there in that object, and the balancing point in which the entire material is concentrated. That balancing point is called center of mass. Okay, for example, if you can take this example, ruler center of gravity. So sometimes the center of mass is directly at the center of the object. In the case of a ruler, see, it's exactly at the center of the object. It's exactly the center of the object. And center of mass is also called as center of gravity. We can call it in either ways, either center of mass or center of gravity. But there is no rule that the center of mass should be exactly at the center. For example, in this case, you can see sometimes the center of mass is not at the center of the object. There's no rule in the in the word it is called a center of mass, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the center of mass must be at the center of the object. In the case of this hammer, the center of mass is towards its heavier end. So an important point what we should understand is center of mass is always located near the heavy mass. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
In the case of this hammer, what is the heavy mass? This rod or that large, the
Stone.
grey one?
The heavy one.
Yeah, this gray color part is a heavy part. So the center of mass is located near that heavy part. Okay, did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Akka.
Now let's move on to the next. you can also try to do it like some kind of activity when you can take a ruler. Okay, you can take a ruler and try to balance the whole ruler on just one finger. In which place you are able to balance, that place is called as the ruler's center of gravity or the ruler's center of mass. So it lies exactly in the middle. Okay, that's how you can try.
Okay, Akka.
Okay.
Now, in space, two or more objects orbiting each other also have center of mass. In space also, there is center of mass. It is the point around which the objects orbit. This point is called the barycenter of the objects. I've already said, right? Different objects in the space, they orbit each other around their common center of mass. That common center of mass is called as barycenter. So the barycenter is usually closest to the object with the most mass. For example, in this figure, you can see here there is sun and here there is a planet. So which is heavier, the sun or the planet?
The sun.
The sun.
The sun.
See, the barycenter, the arrow mark is towards the sun, which means the barycenter is located towards the sun, which has more mass. Okay, that is one important
More weight.
point. Do you all understand?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yes, Akka.
Now,
Yes, Akka.
okay. Now, so now let's talk about the barycenters in a solar system. Like so far we have talked about general examples like scale or like hammer and all. Now let's talk mainly about the solar system. So where is the barycenter between the earth and the sun? So well, the sun has lot of mass. The sun has a lot of mass. In comparison to the sun, the earth's mass is very small. Okay, so the barycenter between the earth and the sun is very close to the center of the sun. Why? Because the sun has more mass. Okay, when we compare earth and the sun, where does the barycenter lie? Tell me, where does it lie?
near the sun.
Between earth and the sun.
Between earth and the
And
sun.
the sun.
No, that is wrong. What did I tell? The barycenter is located towards
At
the
the
more
center
massive
of
object. Which
Near
has
the
more
sun.
mass, earth or sun?
Sun.
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 Yeah. So where it is located? Near the sun.
Near the sun.
Near the sun.
Yeah, near the sun. Okay, did you understand? It's located towards the more mass.
Yes, Akka.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Jupiter. So Jupiter is a lot larger than Earth. It has 318 times more mass than Earth. Okay. So as a result, the barycenter of Jupiter and Sun is not the center of the sun. It's actually outside the sun's surface. So what will many people think in the case of Earth and Sun? We told that the barycenter is near the sun. So what they think, if we consider Jupiter also, Jupiter and Sun, they think that the barycenter is near the sun, but that is wrong, because in this case, the planet Jupiter has more mass than Earth. It is 318 times more massive than Earth. So therefore, the barycenter does not lie towards the sun. It lies outside the sun. Okay, did you understand?
Yes.
Yes, Akka.
Yes, Akka.
Yeah. Now, so our entire solar system also has a barycenter. So the sun and all the planets orbit around this barycenter. Okay, and our solar system's barycenter constantly changes the position. See, they have given the years. For example, in 1984, it is here. In 1959, it is here. So every time it constantly changes its position. Our solar system barycenter constantly changes the position. So its position depends on where the planets are in their orbits. Okay, the position of the barycenter depends on where the planets are in their orbits. As the sun orbits this moving barycenter, it wobbles around. I told, right, when the objects in the solar system are
Wobbles.
orbiting around this barycenter, they wobble. In that way, the scientists or the astronomers can identify the planets in the other solar systems also. Did you understand?
Yes, Akka.
Now,
Yes, Akka.
how do barycenters help astronomers find other planets? Let's learn in detail. So, if a star has planets, imagine a star is there and it has planets. The star orbits around a barycenter. So, this causes the star to look like it's wobbling. For example, see this. So, there is a star and there are planets. So, when the star is orbiting around the barycenter, it causes the star to look like it's wobbling. So planets around the other stars called exoplanets are hard to see directly. So the planets in the other solar system, can we see them directly?
No.
No, Akka.
No, we cannot see them directly. So they are hidden by a bright glare of the stars they orbit. We can't directly see. So then how can we identify? We can identify by observing the wobbling phenomena. Like when a star is wobbling, it is one of the way to find out that there are planets orbiting it. If something is wobbling at a distance, then we can assume that it might be a star and there might be planets orbiting that star. Okay, so by studying barycenters and using several other techniques, astronomers have detected many planets around the stars so far. So these barycenters help astronomers to find other planets. So did you understand the concept of barycenter?
Yes.
Yes, Akka.
Okay.
Yes, Akka.
Yeah. So now let's watch one video. It's a small video so that you can understand it much better.
Okay.
Akka, what do we mean by COG?
COG means center of gravity.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes the center of mass is also called as center of gravity.
Okay.
Now,
Akka, can you tell the full form of COM?
center of mass.
Center of Mars, Mahi.
Okay, Akka, thank you.
Yeah, see, center of mass. Okay, now let's watch this video. Try to read these points also. Point number 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to read and understand it.
Okay.
So what they're saying, the planets don't orbit the center of the sun exactly. They orbit the solar system center of mass or barycenter. I explained, right? Our solar system also has a barycenter.
Yes, Akka.
So the blue circle is the outline of the sun. The blue circle and the sun are shown to scale with each other, but planet sizes and distances are not to scale, okay? Jupiter's mass is 2.5 times larger than all the planets combined. It's enough to make the sun do a mini orbit. So that's why if we consider the Jupiter and the sun, where is the barycenter? Inside this, I mean on the sun or inside the sun or outside the sun?
Outside the sun.
Outside the sun.
Outside the sun.
Outside the sun.
Outside.
Because Jupiter's mass is 318 times more than Earth's mass. Now, So see, in this video, mainly they explain how the center of mass is changing continuously. I told, right, the solar system center of mass is not fixed. It keeps on changing. Why does it change? Because it depends on the position of the planets in their orbit. Okay, did you all understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Akka.
Yes,
Sir.
Akka.
Yeah. Okay, right. So that's all for the Barycenter topic. And that's all for today's session also. In the next session, we'll learn another interesting topic, right?
Okay, Akka.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. You can all leave.
Yes, sir.